Hello everyone and welcome to our next official lesson on Microsoft Excel. So today we're going to get into data entry. Data entry is probably one of the first things that you have to do anytime you're creating a spreadsheet. And when we say data entry, this means just filling cells up with information. It could be anything. It could be a series of costs and expenses and incomes if you're creating a budgeting sheet. It could be a list of client names or friends or address book. There's all sorts of different things you could be filling in data. Now, sometimes you're going to end up with repeated data, which is nice actually because it does save you some time. And Excel has a number of tools for you that will allow you to create repeated data quickly and easily without having to retype the same things over and over and over. So generally we would call this autofill, but autofill is actually a specific tool, and there are other tools that are very, very similar to it that have their own names. But if we say autofill, we're usually generally referring to all these tools together. So the first tool we'll look at is auto series. So when we're talking about series, we're talking about a series of numbers. So say like 1, 2, 3. That's a series. That's a counting series. Each number increases by a single integer. Now, if we wanted to create a list that was all numbered, we could rapidly draw that list out using auto series. So we select the beginning of our series. These 1, 2, 3. Each of those is our. This is the beginning of our series here. And if we want Excel to guess that that's a series and keep going, this little square at the very bottom right hand corner, that is the autofill toggle. So I'm going to click on that and drag it down. You see the little number 4 that appears? 5, 6, and so on appearing right next to my cursor. As we go down, and I let my cursor go, and it automatically fills up for you. So you can give this a try just for yourself. It's quite useful. You can also you don't have to. You're not stuck with going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can also start at a higher number if you wanted to do 256, 257, 258, for example. You can actually do it with as few as 2 numbers. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Click and drag, and once again, automatically fills for us. You also don't have to only go up by 1. We could count by 5. So 5, 10, 15. Click and drag, and it counts for us. So if you're having to enter in data in this fashion, super, super fast, really painless, just like that. So go ahead and give it a try, fool around with the settings for a while. It's kind of fun. Next up we have autofill. And autofill is where we're using data that we've already entered, I should say, and then repeating that data in order. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, we select all of our stuff here. Now instead of clicking on the toggle, I'm going to control click, and since I'm holding down control, you now see a little plus sign beside my cursor. So this is indicating that autofill is active. And so you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's repeating my series for me as opposed to continuing my series for me. You can do this with names too. So if you want to try it up here, let's select Nathan, Jonathan, Elise, and Tina. And we control click Nathan, Jonathan, Elise, and Tina, blah, 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 forever and ever and ever. Just like that. Okay, pretty cool. Again, lots of reasons why you might need to have repeated things like that. It could be the days of the week: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and just repeat. That's really actually a really natural way where you might use autofill to just simply repeat a series as opposed to continuing a series. By the by, if you're hoping to use auto series to continue lettering the numbers down, that's not going to work. If you try to auto series it, it's actually going to just do autofill instead. ABC, ABC. It's not going to try and continue to your series. It only works with numbers. So, just a little Little side note. Now we also have flash fill, and flash fill is probably one of the more well, it is. It's the more powerful tool out of the three. And flash fill comes into effect in two different ways. Flash fill is essentially autocomplete. So let's say what it does, well, let's just start there. What it does is it looks in the vertical column that you're typing in for something that might be the same as what you're about to type. So if I type J, it looks for anything that starts with a J, and it's not looking like if there were multiple words, it would only look with the first word. Looks for the first word starting with J, and it finds Jonathan. Awesome. So if it's basically already filled, all I have to do is hit enter. And then it's done. I could do that with Elise and Tina, but I could also do it down here. No, I can't. I lied. It's looking. Oh, that's of course because it's looking for at adjacent tabs here. So, anyways, that can be very useful as well, just in speeding up your process if you've already typed in a name. Like if it's a product name, for example, if you type the product once, it'll come up again for you. That's really quick and painless. You can also do this via drop-down menus, and we'll look at drop-down menus at another time. But that's a nice way to just sort of fill your text automatically. Now, that's the most basic function of flash fill. Flash fill can also look for complex context and basically form some new stuff for you altogether. So first of all, let's expand all of our cells here by double-clicking in between them. Like that. So that they fit, they're automatically fitting the data that's in them. So I've got first name and last name. That's how everything is sorted. But if I needed the full name, just as a single piece of data, I'd start typing Nathan, and see no autofill yet. Fortin. Okay, nothing has happened. I'll hit enter. Goes down to the next cell. Now, instead of flash fill looking just in this cell, it's going to look to the directly to the left for data that's in this side, and it's similar to this side. So if I type Jonathan, not only does it autofill Jonathan shell, it's actually looking at both these cells. It's looking at the pattern. It sees that I combined the information from this cell and this cell to create this cell. And it assumes that since I did that at the one just above it, I'm going to want to continue. So if I hit enter, Shazam, all of my cells are filled. Double click and fill that out. That's pretty cool. That's really useful. So basically what you're doing is you are limited to this one that you want, where you want to create your autofill list. The data does have to be directly to the left, has to be the first cell to the left and beyond in order for that to actually work. But you can get even more complex. You can reformat that data. So, for example, let's say I've got all the information for the street address of a person, but let's say I want that information on a single line of text. If I want to do some mail merge, maybe. So automatically printing addresses on envelopes. So I'm going to start here. 1, 2, 3, fake street. Now I could go Winnipeg, MB R0, R0A, 0Y0. And as soon as I start typing again, it's going to autofill for me. So that's no different than what we just did. But what if we want something a little bit more complex? So we go 1, 2, 3, fake street, comma, that's a new piece of information, Winnipeg, space, MB, whoops, MB, space, and let's maybe do comma, R0A, 0Y0. Okay, so I've added some new items. I've added commas, I've added an extra space between Winnipeg and Manitoba. Hit 4, 5, 6, look at it, copies my formatting. Shazam. Isn't that great? I love that tool. It's absolutely a fantastic tool for rapidly filling repetitious data. And honestly, in work where you are in an office setting and you're dealing with clients, you will likely have some kind of client spreadsheet just like this. So really, really cool piece of information. If you don't like how that autofilled, you can always Control Z and undo it. If we hit this though, flash fill options comes up. So I can undo that sort of stuff. I can accept the suggestions, whatever. Just allows me to basically go back and undo what I did. So anyways, that's a simple document. You don't have to submit this document because it's pretty straightforward. But there are 3 questions for you to answer in the OneNote. I'd like you to go ahead and do those follow-up questions for me. Review the video as you need. And feel free to play around with these autofill tools because they don't always work exactly as you expect them to do. But that's okay. That's why you get time to play. Alright, we'll see you next time.